mistaken, that portion of State Route 357 currently lies, Troy, correct me if I'm wrong, in the unfunded portion of the long-range transportation plan. And so that means basically, based on future projections, it's not financially affordable based on future projections of funding over the 20-year horizon. So that would need to be amended into the fiscally constrained portion of the long-range plan once those funds become available. Now, of course, once those funds become available and this portion of the project lies within the long-range transportation plan, then it would have to be objectively evaluated with all other projects statewide to determine when it would become available for funding. Of course, that objective evaluation process incorporates a lot of the guiding principles that define the values on which our transportation decisions are based. So then, once everything got funded, we funded that first phase, preliminary engineering. I noticed you talked about design and construction, so just to sort of educate just a little more on what a project of this magnitude would entail, is that mandatory environmental review process, whereby we would have to involve local, state, federal agencies to define the transportation needs. Obviously, you've done a good job of laying out some of those today. We talked about accessibility, mobility, connectivity, and safety. Defining those needs and developing potential range of alternatives for consideration that not only meet the need but minimize impacts to the environment. That process alone, as we've seen recently with State Route 126, whereby we recently completed the environmental review, could take on the average of 3 to 5 years just to do that before you began the preliminary design. So just to give you sort of an idea, I know you talked about some time frames here, but I wanted to give some things to consider as well. Then, of course, we talked about preliminary design, taking some time to do that preliminary design. You've done a good job today of mentioning the ridge there. And so part of that preliminary design would be some heavy geotechnical investigations, I'm sure, that would need to accompany that. So we're talking a few years down the road before we begin the process, potentially, of appraising and purchasing the right-of-way necessary for such a project, which alone can take a few years itself. Then, of course, if the money's there and budgeted for construction, maybe even a few years to do that as well. So just want to kind of lay out kind of potentially from a time frame, when we talk about a project that's a potential project as of today, sort of the time frames that would be needed in order to make it a reality.
Thank you.